I love that intro so much. Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome back to our NoCodeOps live community show. I hope that you're doing well wherever in the world you're joining us from. And please, if you're watching us right now, let me know. Let me know who's in the chat. Give us a hello. If this is your first time here, though, we are NoCodeOps, an international community for people, professionals working in operations and leveraging the power of no codes and automation. You see me standing here today, first time that I do a live stream standing. I'm praying to the Wi-Fi gods that this stream is going to be stable because I'm having a few technical difficulties today. But nevertheless, we hope that you get the highest quality ever of our streams, which is why we always invite expert speakers from either the no code or the automation, the operation space. And speaking of amazing expert speakers, I'm just going to pull in Jessica de Oliveira. You might have known her already because we've hosted a live stream with you, Jessica. So great to have you back here with us.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Claudia. Thank you to the NoCodeOps community for attending every single time. I always get great feedback in inboxes on LinkedIn, which I welcome very much so happy to connect with everyone, and I'm happy to be back again.
It's so cool to have you here. And if you haven't watched our episode with Jessica before, she's the head of education and mission citizen. She's also one of the educators that we have in our NoCodeOps Academy. And so we have been learning so much from Jessica and her courses or just her experience and knowledge. And so we are hosting a sort of mini series together with Jessica. So starting from today, we have about 3 episodes that will really dive into the world of no code. And in particular today, we're going to be talking about no code entering the workforce, right? If you've been out there, if you're working in operations, and even if you're looking for a new role, you might have seen more automation tools, skills required on LinkedIn or wherever you're looking for a new job. And so we really want to try and shed a light on this new profession and how you can make the most out of your skills and how you can acquire new ones if you need. So Jessica, where should we get started? I don't know.
I think a good place to start is just recapping some of the things we might have talked about in the past about like what is a citizen developer, what is a no-code-ops professional, and
I love that.
Yeah, so I think it's a great reminder for folks because I think it shows people that pretty much anyone can do this, right? So if you're a professional and you are an individual that's not a part of the IT department, but you use all of these digital platforms to make your workday better or the process of how you do work better or more efficient, and you have a bunch of tools that you utilize to work digitally, that is, I want to say, the most superficial idea of what a citizen developer is or what an ops professional is, right? So the actual definition, because Gartner research company coined the phrase citizen developer, their definition is a non-IT professional that has permission to create digital tools or software for the organization or for their department, right? And usually these tools are utilized to make the way that the company is operating, the process or the way they do business more efficient, or save time, or just they realize there's an opportunity for them to just be better or more resilient as an organization, or more digital and more modern, right? So that's pretty much the idea behind a citizen developer, right?
Is there a clear cut? Is there a clear cut between being a citizen developer and a no-code operator, or is just a synonym?
I think they're classed very closely, right? I don't think there is so much of a clear distinction. When we say like a no-code operator, when we talk about citizen development, this is software for making software, right? We're using tools that create software. Whereas in like a no-code operator, we're also using tools that help us with the process of work, but they may not just be creating software. They might be using collaborative work management tools like Airtable and Smart Suite and those types of tools to make work more efficient, make information more visible and things like that. So it's closely related. But and even an operations professional will probably use some of the same tools as a citizen developer will be using. And then that's where the idea of like interoperability comes in. So we use our Airtable and we connect it to the front end of our application development tool, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're cousins. Let's just say they're related, right?
Yeah,
So
I think the hint is in the word developer as well. Like a citizen developer, by the definition, is somebody who builds, right? Because he's
yep,
developing a tool. Whereas the operator might be somebody who might be building an optimized process, or might be using something that has been built by the citizen developer to optimize their operations. Maybe that could be
yeah.
uh, yeah, they work hand in hand. But yeah, it's something. It's been always a question that I've had in my head, because I keep hearing, citizen developers, operations, no code operators, and I've always wondered whether it's the same. So I love that I keep on learning from you every time that we meet. Like last time you taught me the difference between entrepreneur and intrapreneur. I love that so much. And so yeah, thank you, Jessica.
Yeah. And I'm glad you actually asked that question, because that kind of like moves us into the idea of skills. Like, what are the actual skills that a person who might be like a no code operator or someone who's not even in the space at all, how do we move into citizen development practices as a citizen developer, right? So the big idea here in citizen development is we're using software tools to make more software, right?
Right.
So we're using apps to make apps. And the skills that we would use in everyday work, pretty much, they're the experiences that we have already using a spreadsheet. Like if you go into something like a smart sheet, or like I said, an Airtable, we're already in a tabular view where we manage our information like super spreadsheets, right? So that's literally the visual aspect of the back end of a no code development tool, right? And it's just the same experiences, and you just need to translate or transfer those experiences into a new environment and new practices. And that is pretty much how the citizen development practice is easily you can easily move into a role that way, right? So this we use this the example of a spreadsheet that's managing data. We do that every day. Most people don't know that the skills are broken up into like three main categories as far as I class them: project management, data management, and process management, right?
Did you have
And
a slide for it?
yeah, yeah, I can show you guys exactly what that looks like.
Yeah, because I remember I had a glimpse of this. I was like, oh, I've
Yeah.
seen these three things before.
Yeah.
And people in the audience, I always like to say this: we want for our events to be as interactive as possible. So do interact with us in the chat. This is your 60 minutes for you to grow with our community, and so don't be shy. All right, I can see it. There
All
is.
right, awesome. So pretty much the main category of skills, like I said before, fall into the categories of process, project, and data management. And believe it or not, a lot of us at work do this every day, and we don't even know that we're doing it. All right. So if we take a look at project management is just planning, executing, and overseeing the path to a goal. And we do that within a particular time frame. We do that all the time. Our supervisors and our bosses tell us, well, we have to get this done within this time frame in order to meet this, quarterly goal or market. And that's project management and the most, superficial level of it. And as we go into speaking about citizen development and creating software, this is literally managing the software development lifecycle. The SDLC is how we call it. And we use a lot of different tools to do that. So right now on the screen, you might see a lot of different types of tools we might use for project management: task management, collaboration, timeline and scheduling, resource allocation, reporting, and analytics. We know these tools. Trello, we use that for managing our tasks when we're developing something. Asana, right? And all the collaboration tools we have: Teams, Slack, for communication. So these are tools that we utilize every day. But for those who haven't like entered into this world or this realm of software tools just as yet, most of us are already doing these things, whether they're digitally with these tools or manually in the environment that we're already in. And the next skill of process management, it's as simple as saying, going to your supervisor and saying, can you take a look at this and let me know if I have approval to move forward, right? That's something that's been done manually for years, approval systems and progress tracking. And with process management, we have workflow automation tools that we're using, like Zapier and Make or Integromat, and like Power Automate for those who are in larger enterprise ecosystems. And this is like a normal thing. So it starts at the task level, just automating our repeatable tasks, or going from manual to digital automation of our tasks, the tasks that we do over and over every day. And then those individual tasks grow into entire processes, and those processes into entire workflows. And then there is document management, where for those who are still in environments that are still using paper, we did. There are
Which is
still
an actual object. It's not like
yeah,
it's not paper.com. Paper is paper made of wood.
like physical paper. So there are still like environments that are using actual paper, and that is considered to be, in a lot of spaces, legacy. In other areas, it's the most secure way to do things, so they stick with paper. But now we have document management systems that are more secure, that allow us to manage our documents in a secure way, adding some process behind it, some automation, and sending it more efficiently to people and being updated automatically when everything happens, right? So you don't have to try to figure things out. So the idea of these skills is not just to have the skills, but it's also to make business happen more efficiently and make your work happen more efficiently.
Mm-hmm. Jessica, I can already see a question in the chat from Caitlin. I wonder whether, yeah, you would like me to pull that in.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Hi, Caitlin. Great to have you here on the stream. She says a lot of these are inherent to roles outside of tech. How do we represent expertise in these skill sets when we don't have official experience on or on paper credentials when looking for career opportunities?
Yeah, that's actually a challenge that Claudia and I were talking about earlier, that, the tools that we're utilizing now to represent ourselves digitally, like our career and what we've accomplished, the tools that we have available. LinkedIn is great for socializing and to reaching out to people, but we need more tools that will definitely showcase our work. And we actually have something coming up in the near future that will help you with that. But as far as like classing and capturing your skills, we're going to go into some wording and some phrasing in about 2 weeks that you can add to your resume, so you can stick around for that. But I would say start with the phrases that you see here so far, right? Process management, project management, and data management, because those are the words that the companies that are seeking professionals, that's what they're using in their job descriptions. They're using process management, workflow automation. They're using the words that we're using today. So if you can screenshot any of these and take note of them, we'll go into deeper explanation of those in our third part of our series, where we're talking about how to take your no-code skills and add them to your resume.
Absolutely. And also for reference, we mentioned Jessica here is an expert, head of education and mission citizen, but she's also a tech analyst. So all that you see today is not just like coming out of just thoughts, it's based on actual research and data. So yeah, just wanted to point that out as well.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time in a lot of different softwares, whether I've actually built on them or had to assess them for industry reports. So anytime you guys want to tap in and have any questions, just feel free to ask, okay? So as far as the last category of skills, we have process management, which is literally the way we move at work. Oh, I think did we talk about this one already? Yeah. So the last category was data management. And data is everywhere around us. When we engage in our phones, anytime we sign anything, all of those tidbits of information, they're being saved somewhere. But at work, it's literally as simple as the spreadsheet that you created to make a list of things to do with your team, right? So managing spreadsheet information is usually like one part of the job, but just capturing this information, optimizing the information to be distributed and visualized, making sure that everyone has access and permission to it is just like the beginnings of it. Organizations usually have like larger issues, uh, like making sure that there aren't redundant documentations and things of that sort.
Mm. And then
So
if it stays updated as well.
exactly. Someone has made a change to the data. Like, has everyone been notified? Does everyone know? Was that a change that needed to not be changed? Like, all these things happen when you start to use digital tools to basically keep track of your process. So process and data kind of go hand in hand, because every time you move through a step in a process, you'll more than likely be updating, changing, or creating new data, right? And all of
Mm.
those things are exactly what it is to develop an application, right? So when we talk about developing applications, we're looking at our apps on our phone. That's our visual interface, and we're interfacing with data. We're creating data every time we click a like button, right? Or unlike or make a comment. We're creating data every time we delete something. We're moving. So we're constantly engaging with data, and all of that happens in a process, right?
Mm.
So when we talk about skills for ops people and citizen developers, those are the main buckets that it falls into. And we literally do it every single day when we're at work. So there, if you're new to it or you're in it already, you have another step up. You have another graduation to your career that's sitting right in front of you, and you probably didn't even realize it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it also makes me think, for those in the audience that do have a little bit of coding experience, it's the same thing when a developer writes code and they're obsessing with clean code, right? Because they're thinking of the process. And so, just the same way that I'm a completely non-technical professional, but I like my processes to be clean and straightforward. And especially if I'm managing a team, they have to be easily digestible, and you need to be the facilitator of that learning experience and those processes as well. So yeah, it's really, really important.
Yeah. So the thing is, you might obsess about it, right? I obsess about it. But at work, just in general, historically at work, we've been trained to do what our supervisors tell us to do, wait to be told what to do. What's changing in the workforce today is that we're not being asked to wait anymore to be told what to do. We're being asked to take the lead, take the initiative on the work that you're doing, make sure that the process is clean, make sure that and sometimes that it's not so easy to do it with the overwhelm of work that we do. And that's why we
Mhm.
digitize. That's why more organizations are looking to digitize processes so we can have more transparency. Everyone is able to see what's actually happening. So you're not just your head down doing your work and everything is falling apart around you. You don't even know because you can't see what's actually happening. Right. So digital tools allow us, one, it allows a business to modernize, get away from manual processes. It allows us to do our work more efficiently because the digital tools handle the repetitive tasks that we don't
Mhm.
keep doing them over and over again. It creates transparency so everyone can see everything. And then we can also see if there are redundancies, and we can get rid of those redundancies because duplications cost money. Anytime you move data and anything like that, it costs money. So for businesses, that's a good thing. And then there's probably more money to give you a raise. So it's like you learn
It's
how
a
to do the
win-win.
yeah, we have a win-win happening when we just decide to like modernize with digital tools when we're talking about citizen development, like in no code operations. There is always going to be an investment into something, but
Mhm.
the best bet is to get on board with where most of business is headed, and business is headed into a more digital workforce.
Yeah, what about, I have a question, like what about those very well established companies that might already have their internal tools that their developers have been spending years developing? And so what I'm noticing from our community as well is that our operators are like on their kind of like walking, how to say, on eggshells, you know, just like, oh, have you seen this tool? And then they get smashed down by the IT team. They're like, no, you have to use our tool that we worked so hard to develop. So how do we mitigate that relationship?
Well, that's a great question. There are a lot of organizations figuring that out right now. So there is a lot of pushback, or had been a lot of pushback from IT departments that kind of manage all of the software. And that's why that definition by Gartner, and non-IT professional that has permission.
Permission, yeah.
Permission is the key word there. Permission to create these digital tools. So you must go through your IT department. That's where governance comes in, where it says, what are the policies, the procedures? What are the rules on me developing this solution inside of the organization? Because most organizations are risk averse. They do not want you to dabble in data and you might delete something, dabble in data and you might expose confidential information or private personal information to the public,
Mm.
right? And that, tarnishes brand integrity. So that's where we're still working things out. But a lot of organizations have gotten past that because we've put in place governance. Governance rules stand first, right? They're organizational rules for ops people and citizen developer people that they must abide by. And it's basically some sort of model that says who can create what, right? Does a citizen developer, first you start off with what's the solution you're trying to create, right? And then you go through the process of, do we already have the solution? Does it solve
Yeah.
the problem? Will it replace what we have? Or are you making it better? Right. And then once you get past that point of approval to create your application or your solution, then we say, how complex is it? How much exposure to the public, or danger or security measures do we need to take? Right.
Security was something that I was going to bring up because I know that there's also a lot of resistance. No code almost has this negative connotation from big companies or IT teams because of its security issues as well. I don't know whether you've noticed in the market an improvement in that area as well. I can see from Caitlin again from LinkedIn. She says the pushback is real.
Yeah.
I've done one IT governance process to bring Smart Suite on. Hello to our friends at Smart Suite, and it's a very in-depth process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Caitlin. It is IT governance is real. The pushback. I think that a lot of organizations are so new to this idea of a non-IT person. There's a lot of fear around it, and I think it's for us. I've heard the no code side of things been called the Wild West, right? But moving into the enterprise space where, risk is at the mitigating risk is really at the forefront of the initiative in an organization. This idea of IT governance is something that we could use on this side. Most of us rely on our no code platforms to handle the security measures. And there actually has been more security software being released in the past few years to actually assist us who are not aware in the space of
Mm-hmm.
security, right? And it's helpful because now it opens us up all of our skills into a new space, right? Now we can
Yeah.
see in an organization there is some sort of software solution to assist with making sure that there is visibility on who's doing what. And there's a lot of software to assist with that in the enterprise spaces. And hopefully it'll trickle down into the other smaller markets where security is something that's taken more seriously. And it'll also become a skill. Another skill for us as no code people to take on and take seriously. And it opens up another market for us to move into.
Obviously, in the recent months, there has been a lot of interest and a lot of companies investing, and even governments investing in AI. And so I wonder if you. So one of the questions that we often ask to our guests here: what do you think AI will take over all those jobs, all those job descriptions, and or do you think that no code will also keep having its relevance and its space in the workforce? So would you be, I guess my question is, would you be more employable if you came into a company bringing some AI hype word,
Mhm.
or presenting yourself as a no-code operator, no-code developer? And also, I would love to hear, like, people in the chat I'm seeing, like I'm reading Nico and Grok. I would love to hear what kind of roles do you have? Yeah, let us know.
Yeah, this is a question that I kind of like bounce back and forth with. And if I were, I feel like if I were to be as candid as I am with myself, it might seem like a little dreary. But to be honest, I've actually thought about this topic a lot. I think that when someone is applying for a position, AI is a new buzzword that
Mhm.
is capturing a lot of attention. Unless you understand the AI deeply, and I'm referring to security measures particularly. If you know it enough, if that's what the role calls for, go for it. But when we're talking about that versus a position with no code skills, I firmly stand behind no code skills in the sense that there is a lot of challenge around the impact in the ethics of AI right now and how
Mhm.
it'll replace jobs and put people out of work. It's happening now, right? To be like the truth of the matter. And I've spent a lot of time writing notes on this and what direction I want to take the idea of it. But I firmly believe that no code development skills, one, lessens the gap of our skill gap issue in the workforce, while AI widens the gap of
Right.
skills, right? So imagine AI taking over all of the jobs that we have. It brings us as a workforce to a space where people are not knowledgeable on how to do things if something is doing everything for them, right?
Mm.
And now less people are actually technically inclined, and no having no code skills actually bring you up in technical expertise. So I would
Yeah.
say that when you're applying for a position, you have to be strategic about this. If the position is calling for you to have skills that show that you have technical expertise, go with your no code skills. But no code and AI together, that you'd be an all-star, a superstar. You'll be your resume would stand out a lot more, right? I think that either of them by themselves, depending on the position, you could stand out, period, from anyone else. So if you're like a marketing manager, marketing already uses SaaS tools to automate things, right? Marketing funnels and things of that sort. But if you say you know how to manage that data and you know how to manage our rate of conversion with these automatic tools and visualize them in this application, you stand out even more than the next marketing manager, right?
Absolutely. And we've been chatting a lot about process mapping as well. I feel like that's the real strength of a no-code operator as well.
Yes,
Like
yes.
when you go for an interview, having your knowledge of no-code tools in your CV, in your resume, is just not enough, I don't think, because what's really going to have an impact on the company or the recruiter you're talking to is for you to show them what's the process that you've optimized using those tools. Show me the journey, how you went from working 80 hours a week manually to working 20 hours a week with the system that you've built. That process is really like your secret weapon, I think.
Yeah, we were actually speaking briefly about this before, and what Claudia is talking about is basically showing impact on how
Mm.
you went from this to that, and what was the result of it. And we were talking before about the project I'm working on called HireKit. And the first version of HireKit is a talent portal to match folks in this space, but it also has something that, after I spoke to a lot of people in the recruiting space, it has a portfolio for no code developers, because we can showcase our work and we can, one, not have to try to force it all on the resume. We can actually visualize, what have we been doing? What was the impact of this project? I mean, it's made for folks in the no code space to have somewhere to showcase their work, but it could be for anyone. Not enough
Mhm.
people are showcasing the impact that they've created at work. And this also is kind of in alignment with this new way of work, where we're not being told to wait for someone to tell us to do something. It's take initiative and document and record the process, and then the outcome is something that you can show to you never know, your future clients or your future employer, right? So definitely capturing and documenting the impact of your no code work is important.
Yeah, and I just shared the link to our job board as well, just to show you that what we're talking about today is not something completely out of the blue. There are companies that are actively looking for no-code operators today, and so do check out those job descriptions. I just wanted to, put it out there.
Definitely.
Um, yeah. Jessica, should I get some of the questions that
Yeah.
we had in the form? And again, if anyone's watching here and you're particularly interested, whether you're working in operations already, whether you're trying to enter the workforce with your no-code skills, let us know. Chat with us. We're not scary people, I don't think. So I'm just gonna put this Q&A here at the top, and I'm just gonna pull up one of our questions that we've had. Um, so we were talking about keywords as well, and I know that we will be going more in depth in kind of keywords and job descriptions in our third episode, I think it is, or
Yeah.
maybe the second. Yeah, third. But we have a question here from Imani, and she says, what are keywords to look out for in your job titles, descriptions for roles that are for no-code skilled operators? And once again, do check out the job board. But yeah, Jessica, what do you think?
Yeah, that's actually something that I spend time doing, exactly what you're recommending. I actually go onto job listings and to see what words are being used. Because the idea here is that a citizen developer is not an actual title. It's not an actual job title. It's a persona. And a citizen developer could be anyone in any job, in any role. But the skills that it entails would be these no code software tools that we're using, right? So the keywords in the job title in itself may vary. I saw one at a banking institution for an architect. Now, this is a
Mm,
highly technical position. One might think that a citizen developer doesn't know how to code, right? It's a
one might
myth.
think, yeah.
Yeah, one might think, right? It's a myth. A citizen developer or even an ops person, it says that you're outside of the IT department. It doesn't say that you can't code. It doesn't say that you're not a coder, right? So there are a lot of engineers and people outside of the IT department. So the skills may vary. But what I've seen is that most of the most popular skills is SQL. Now, SQL is a querying language. It is, I guess, considered some sort of coding, but it relates to managing data. And so that would be a hint to what most of the ads that I've seen, most of the employers are looking for someone who can manage data.
Yeah,
Using
I
SQL.
call them my superheroes of the community. Whenever somebody enters the community and they're like, "Oh, I'm a software developer, but I'm now picking up no code skills," I'm like, "Well, you're gonna be unstoppable, my friend."
Yeah,
Um, it's so
yeah,
great. But also for those people that actually are completely non-technical like me, there's a great amount of resources out there. Like we recently launched our academy where you can pick up, some key topics like, if you're working in automation and no codes, you're gonna find yourself meeting or encountering this word APIs, webhooks, having a little knowledge of just in general how HTML and CSS work could be really beneficial. And if you enter the no-code space, I found myself to be really intrigued by wanting to learn more and really understand how code works. So for me, what no-code has done for the global population was to actually encourage people to not be scared by code. There's only a very small percentage of people in the world. I can't remember the exact number. 0.71% of people in the world know how to code. And
right,
so what no code is doing is kind of opening the doors to the 99% of us that might have an idea, might have a process that they would like to speed up or optimize, and now you're being equipped with these tools that will help you get there in a more visual way. And by doing that, it makes databases like Excel or whatnot, it makes that process look a lot more fun and engaging, which then encourages you to wanting to learn more. That's what happened to me, at least. And I'm a community manager, but I now use a few tools, for my community ops, like Airtable, Zapier. So yeah, it's been great, and I would love to hear if anyone else here can tell me about their journey and their experience being either a technical or non-technical operator, and what they're doing with that skill today. Let me get another question here. Do you have, question from Dominic, any tips for securing buy-in from leadership for building out new roles or functions?
Okay, this one's touchy. If you're
Mhm.
the first person in your organization to say, I think no code ops or a new citizen developer program or department would be a great thing here, you're gonna have to show improve first. You're gonna have to show improve. Like Claudia said, there are a lot of courses in the community, but one of them is just starting off with the planning process. Before we even get to development, you have to know how to plan what you're developing. If you want buy-in from leadership, you're gonna have to talk their language. And we spoke about this on one of the past streams that we did. You're going to have to, one, be able to perk up their ears with words that they understand. When we were talking about mitigating risk with security, that's top priority for them. When we talk about lowering operational costs, when we talk about managing processes and making things more efficient, costs go down that way, right? When we talk about improving revenue, anything that can bring more revenue into the company, leadership is going to love you. But the idea is that if you could, one, make sure you have permission always to create some sort of solution or mock up to show them how you might intend for this to happen, give them something that they can visualize and tap into their imagination a little bit. If you give them a little bit, they might just say, this sounds awesome. Are you willing to lead this up? Are you willing to be the person that start this? If you have that type of initiative and you approach them properly with that language, if you're paying attention to cost benefit analysis, root cause analysis, it gets a little bit deeper. It's a little bit more on the management side of things. But if you can speak that language, you can definitely capture someone's attention in your leadership that would be willing to say, hey, I understand what you're saying. We see these problems too. Are you willing to take the initiative? It's probably the first thing they're going to ask you.
Would you say like building a case study would be beneficial? Because sometimes, you get really busy, obviously, management teams, and all they want to hear is like, oh, just tell me the end.
Right.
Just
Give me
get
the
to the
answer.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And so if you can give them some sort of mock-up that say, hey, this is the problem, I have the solution, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Dominic, let me know if you're thinking of pitching an idea. Maybe, we can brainstorm.
Yeah.
We can have a look at your case study. All right. A question from Cloudify Business. Okay. What are some full-time roles in the no-code space? So you were mentioning earlier an architect. Is that a no-code role?
Not necessarily, but that's the point that of us doing this, to showcase that more organizations are looking to make these roles full-time roles, right? And so the citizen developer role, there are various sets of roles. So in let's talk about an enterprise. Like I told you about
Mm-hmm.
the solutions architect, the citizen solution architect. This is a coding individual who, in any other organization before citizen development or no code ops came about, would just be a solutions architect. But the idea here is this organization wants to craft a program or a part of their organization that focuses on the non-IT portion of the company actually doing a lot of the things that might be burdening the IT department, right? So the full-time roles may vary. I once helped a friend get a position. She is a citizen developer at a new uh, no code development platform that's in the space of field data management. And at the time when I was doing research on the changes in hiring practices, there were these words that kept coming up over and over again. There were a lot of challenges, and companies talking about how hard it was for them to actually find a low code or a citizen developer to hire. It's because people don't know
Mm,
that they're being sought after, right? So that's why we're talking about this. So the space, the full-time roles are the regular jobs that are available for no code, like regular professionals, right? It's just the skill of no code is attached to it, right? So you
right.
can be a marketing, you can be an HR professional.
Oh, I
No,
think that that's like the bulb moment right here that you're saying. Yeah.
yeah,
Actually, I didn't think about that. You could do any role, just
any
attach
role,
the no-code skill to it and
right?
show them how you stand out from the crowds with your no-code skills.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about earlier. It's like full circle. Like it's you can have any full time position, but my colleague that I assisted with finding the role, as soon as she made a few changes to her resume and her LinkedIn, she had 6 interviews, requests for interviews in about a few days.
That's
Right?
amazing. Can you tell us a few of those changes? Do you
Yeah.
know?
Okay. Well, first it was just simple phrasing, right? It's simple phrasing. Some of the changes, she was already a developer. She already had experience on like platforms like Caspio, and it's not even. She had a range of skills from very simple skills to really, more technical skills. But she changed the wording in her headline, right? You change the wording in your headline to be, it can be say no code, it can say low code, it can say citizen development, depending on the area that you fall into, right? Or you can use it no code operations. That is becoming very popular, by the way. uh, so probably thanks to you guys.
Yay.
So those phrases are where you start. The other part is to pull in the individual, like hard skills onto your resume. When you talk about uh, process process automation, workflow automation, task automation, talk about repetitive tasks, talk about business problems that you solve with your skills. Then attach an area under your skills section. You can talk about the software, your technical skills. Add on, this is going into our third part of the series, but the full-time roles and the skills that happen for a no code individual, it's similar to a regular setup as a professional. You're just adding on some keywords that we'll talk about in a couple of weeks, and get everyone on board and better acquainted with how to present themselves digitally to
Yeah.
prospective employers.
So stick around for episode 3 of this mini series.
Yeah,
Bring your paper.com and pencil.ai.
yeah,
Caitlin, I'm loving your engagement with our stream today. Yeah, would love to connect if we're not connected already. But she
yeah.
says, I work in a role that is really at the crossroad of higher education and healthcare. It's not a technical role per my job description, but it's highly technical in reality of daily operations. I was attracted to no code because I needed a tool for managing data and documents that did not exist. Since then, I've been chasing information on many things no code and learning SQL. Wow. As a
Nice.
side project. Nick's Good, who's an amazing no code developer and one of our biggest fan of the community. Hi, Nix. She
Yeah.
posted a blog post today that said building things in no code made her feel alive at her desk. And I think that captures where I am at incredibly well. I love that quote so much by Nix. Make her feel alive at her desk. That's how I feel every day, talking to the community. And so she goes on and says, "What benefits are there for labeling ourselves as a citizen developer on, say, LinkedIn? What criteria should we meet before we can make that claim?"
I love that question. I love that so much, because I'm trying to say so much about big organizations that are having a hard time to get the buy-in from folks. So some organizations are getting pushback from IT. Other organizations they can't get their staff to get on board. And I keep repeating, let them know what's in it for them. So Caitlin, for you, having this skill, first of all, congratulations on even taking the initiative. This is the behavior of a natural citizen developer. You're already there. Okay. So that's the first part. The second part, going on to manage, learn SQL, SQL. That's one of the, didn't I tell you guys that's the main skill that most employers are looking for in the job description? Someone that knows SQL, and it's basically managing data, right? And that's the world we live in today. But the benefit of having this on your resume or even any of your digital profiles is that it appeals to, uh, for you, it's going to appeal to an employer where you stand out. You have all the same skills as the person next to you, except for this technical thing that you do that we probably don't know what it is, but we want to talk to you. We want to talk to you already. You know how many times I've had someone look at my resume and say, "We just had to talk to you," because it just stands out. It stands out. The other thing is that these are skills that no one can take from you. Where our world is going today, where we're so digital in the workforce and how business is being done, you're going to be ahead of a lot of other people in the sense that the requirement for digital skills is increasing. Well, we're already there. We're way beyond increase. That's why we have such a large skill gap. You're probably going to be someone's manager soon because you know all these things before everyone else. And that's how I kind of got started. Just knowing a little bit more than everyone else moved me into positions that I didn't know I was qualified for. Someone's going to come to you and ask you to take the position because no one is qualified for it just yet. So you'll become more qualified in the sense in other people's mind than the person that has similar skills to you in the professional sense. Right? So the benefit of classing or calling yourself a citizen developer, the benefits are there. You'll see there's attraction from a lot more people on LinkedIn. You'll start to get requests from a different class of people on LinkedIn, trust me. And as far as what the minimum requirements are, if you can, if you're already in a workspace and you're working outside of the IT department building solutions for your organization, you're a citizen developer. And I think it's important to class that the permission part of it. If you can throw in some any proof of governance in your organization, you've gotten some buy-in from the higher ups that gave you permission, and there's some documentation of it, you can start talking about those things in your work and you become more of an authority in that space, right? So the minimum requirement, build something. Build something.
Yeah, and show what you know. That's a really great tip. Like, be vocal about even you experimenting with no code, even you learning about SQL. Just post it on LinkedIn. Say,
Yeah.
hey, I work in what was it, healthcare and higher education. But this is how SQL is tying to what I'm doing day by day, and kind of show that process. Show that you know what you're doing. Show that you're curious, and that really attracts, as you were saying, Jessica, a whole different group of people out there.
Yeah. And Caitlin, would love to connect on LinkedIn and hear about what you're doing, because more cases where this is happening drives our mission forward, right? So definitely love to connect.
Yeah, maybe we can have her as a guest for during our mini series. We can ask you.
Yeah.
You can ask questions here directly.
Yeah.
Love it. All right, we were talking about your journey just briefly then, and there's a really good question here from Sonia, and I would like to wrap this stream with this question because I'm sure many people will would like to hear your answer to it. Which is the best career advice that someone's given you?
Uh,
As an expert,
as
as
an
a queen in
expert.
tech, what is the best advice that someone's given you?
Well, I've learned a lot of things, but I'll say I had my supervisor at Forrester was a very great supervisor, and he just told me to be more confident in my work and constantly second guess myself. Actually, it's my way of making sure that I'm doing my best work. But really and truly, he was really saying you're doing fine and just keep moving. And that I can say, if I was, I guess that's more less fear and more adventure, or look at your fear as adventure. I can say that much. But I'd say that to anyone, you're doing fine. Just be more confident in it and keep moving forward. You're going to make things, you're going to break things, and you're going to make things again. Just keep doing that. That is the best way that we're going to learn, is to just dive in there and just do it. Be confident about what you're doing. If you make a misstep, if we make a mistake, it's okay. We pick back up and we keep going.
Yeah, and you learn from them. You learn so much. I learn
Right.
every day. I learn every week from our amazing speakers here in the community. During our hangouts, people are so knowledgeable, and so don't be scared of asking as well. Don't There's no silly questions, and I'm always trying to be a good example. I'm always like asking questions, even if I think they're very simple and might make me look as if I'm not so knowledgeable about things, which is true. And I think if you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You've heard that before. So
Yeah.
try and be curious, try and ask people, people, connect with mentors. We launched our mentorship program in the community. It's free to join. We have amazing experts like Jessica who are giving back their time to the community, offering free mentorship. So do jump onto these amazing opportunities. It's a great time for us to be in tech despite all the layoffs.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's so many resources and help out there.
Yeah, I actually want to add one last thing. If I
Sure.
was a few years ago, what got me into this industry was I had what I thought was a stupid question in my mind, and the question was, "Can I build an app without code? Is that even possible? I don't like this idea of coding. It was boring to me at the time, and I Google searched it, and that's how I stumbled upon all these no code apps and communities. So if I was afraid to even dive into the idea, if I let my fear get the best of me, I would not be on this path. I was already on the path of being an acupuncturist. I was already a massage therapist, acupuncturist. I was already on the alternative healthcare path. And this completely switched me just from asking what I thought was a dumb question. So be fearless. If that sums up anything that I've said today, like be fearless about what you're doing here.
I love that so much. Be fearless. Oh, that's a good tattoo for any no coder. I love that so much. Thank you so much, Jessica. What can we give a hint for our next episodes next
Our
week?
next episode is going to be about how to choose the right no code platform for what you're building and for learning your new no code skills.
Absolutely, which is again one of the questions we get asked the most in the community. There's a huge number of no-code platforms out there, and so yeah, we will be looking into which one is the best for your particular use cases, if
Yeah.
there is a best. Amazing. Well, thank you so much again, Jessica. I absolutely love having you here. I love having you in the community, and we're so very fortunate to have you as an educator of this no-code space. So yeah, I will see you next week.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Have a great week and join our community if you're not there. All right. Bye, y'all.